Everyone's going to tell you that Avatar 3 is bigger and way darker than Way of Water, and that part is true. What actually surprised me the most is how dark it really gets, and how it leans more into character consequences and tension than the previous predecessor films have. So Avatar Fire and Ash, I watched it, let's talk about it. So this is the first Avatar movie that I actually saw in theaters, because if you guys go on my channel, you guys can see that I've reviewed the first two Avatars first time watching them. And I can tell you now, which you guys have already known, that the movie experience is way better than watching on the couch, because those visuals were amazing seeing it in 3D. Imagine seeing it in IMAX. I get the hype. The scales, the sound designs, the visuals, it hits so much harder seeing in theaters. I really do feel like I'm in Disney Animal Kingdom and actually on these rides with how big and beautiful it is. And story-wise, for Avatar 3, it pushes it in a deeper and darker direction that Way of Water couldn't do. There's less wonder and more attention and a big heavy weight leaning on all the characters that's been leaked over from the second film. The things that I liked about this movie was honestly the fire tribe. Let's get into that. Visually, they're insane, volcanic, aggressive, extremely unpredictable. And what really sells them is their presence. Every time they're on screen, it's insane. These characters are wild. That tribe is brutal. Like, the more brutal scenes of this franchise comes from this movie, especially comes from that fire tribe. And every time they were on screen, my jaw was dropped. But not because of non-stop action, just because of control. This leader feels different. She feels more intense. She feels like she has like no restraints on her. And obviously, you know, I'm comparing her to Miles because his restraint was working with the military, but her, she has no chains. And this new movie, it feels more comfortable being unsettling instead of just being beautifully visually engaging. The tone is darker, heavier, there's higher stakes, but what did surprise me is the subtle hint of comedy. It worked well in this because in the first two movies, the scripts came off very 08, especially the first one. But with this script, the comedy's in there, and there is a few times that I caught myself chuckling. And it's never all conjointed together. It's so spaced out, it gives you time to breathe and take in the action, and the comedy comes in when it's right. And another thing that really got me was the first two acts, because those had me glued. The world building feels more focused, the character development just feels right. And the pacing for the first two acts, it feels extremely confident. And I know in my previous reviews I've talked about how the third act always hits, but with this one, the first two acts really gets it settled, it gets fleshed out more. James Cameron actually does put his heart into the first two acts. And you see how the Sullys, they do grow from their previous encounter in the second film, because this one takes place like right after the second movie. There's not no big time gap. So you do see the growth and effects of the consequences of what happened in the second film actually expand in this one. You see how all the characters have grown, you see how they changed and how their personalities are now sticking to showing who they really are. And Neytiri, her growth, I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I do see the flaws in what her character has become in this movie. But you guys can comment below and tell me what you guys think about her change, which was to be expected seeing what she'd been through in the first two films. Did you guys like it? Did you guys not? Comment below. Tell me how you feel. Tell me how you really feel. And the grief from the previous films, it holds a lot of weight in this film. It's not just a continuation of the story, it's a continuation of these characters. You're seeing how they all have been affected because they lost a lot in the second film. And in this film, it's more on grief because they lost more. See how it shapes the whole Sully family in general, not just with Jake, with his wife and his kids. Well, with his remaining kids. And I'm not gonna lie, I kinda like Miles in this too. His character was more complex than I expected him to be. I can't say much without giving it away, but I did enjoy him in this film, and I do enjoy that we're gonna see him more after this because I wanna see where he goes in this whole story. Where there's good, there's bad, and we'll talk about that. The repetitive formula. Not that type of formula that you know from the Krusty Krabs, not the secret formula, but the Avatar formula. It's repetitive, and James Cameron does not steer far away from that. Well, it starts off with being exactly like Way of Water, but just more intense, and there's just more stakes. But the story ends up being more repetitive. They end up bringing in some similar elements from the second film, and feels redundant. And it's not that the formula is broken, it's just that we've seen it before. Eventually, if he keeps doing this with the next 2 films, it's just gonna get tiring. Last act gets dragged. You feel the runtime. It's 5 minutes longer than Way of Water, and once again, you do feel all of that time, especially and sadly with the 3rd act, because I thoroughly enjoyed this film. The first 2 acts had me glued. I was almost gonna say this was the best Avatar film, until the 3rd act came and just destroyed everything with the pacing, and it just drags. It doesn't seem like it knows what it wants to end with. And I can sit down and honestly say that everything that's happened throughout these 3 films is honestly Jake's fault. You guys could comment and tell me how you guys feel about that. Because I'm not calling him the villain. I know he's not the villain. It wasn't intentional, but everything is happening to Natiri's tribe because of him, to this new tribe from Way of Water because of him. All of these films just leads back to him, and he's just the problem. Avatar Fire and Ash is darker, more suspenseful, and extremely more character-driven than I expected. The Fire Tribe is the best addition to this franchise that I've seen. And the first 2 acts, in my opinion, had the strongest storytelling out of the franchise. 3rd act just holds it, and the familiar formula just kind of just brings it down. What stuck with me is how this movie actually does touch upon grief, accountability, and consequences. It hits it hard, and you feel every second of that. This isn't even about saving the world anymore. It's about living with what saving it cost. So, Avatar Fire and Ash, rating for this, I give it a solid with snacks. It's better than the other movies, but it still just sticks to the same lame formula like I said. But what'd you guys think about this? Comment below, let me know what you guys thought about it. Comment and tell me your rating of Avatar 1, 2, and 3 in best to worst rating order, please. And if you like my vibe, comment below, like and subscribe. And I'm James Hancock, signing off.